Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Dark Season 2, Episode 2. It is called Dark Matter. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. So we get the 80s in this episode, and the image at the end, because Netflix always shows like an image from the next episode, at least when it's, does for me when I end an episode. When the credits go small and it's like, here's the next one
Doesn't
coming.
for me always.
It does for me, at least watching the PS4 it always does. So we're definitely going to the 50s next time. That's basically what I'm saying. There's definitely some 50s stuff.
Okay, fair enough.
Which makes
I
sense.
haven't used the PS4 app in a long time, so
Yeah. But it makes sense though that we introduce the 80s again.
introduce
This,
them one at a time. Yeah.
and 50s next time. Makes a lot of sense. Although there's still some present day, 2020 stuff. And again, I'm calling that present day just for convenience sake, even though it's not
It
entirely
kind of
true.
isn't. We kind of established, I think, last season that the 80s was kind of the present, and this was the future.
To an extent, yeah. But now we have a future now that's the future to us as well. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
but we also now have like another past, which is 1921. So, which is admittedly still puts the 80s in the middle, which is
It does. Which, I mean, I'm almost inclined to say, especially after a conversation in this episode, there isn't a present day.
Mm.
There isn't one that we can
There
jump
is a loop.
from to. Yeah, exactly.
It's
It's a cycle, as they use.
Joe, it's funny. Just before we get into the meat of this episode, is that the next episode I'm recording with Tara of the Atomic Cinema Experiment, or sci-fi movie podcast, is Primer, and I feel like I was watching this going, I'm watching Primer later or tomorrow, and I'm like, huh.
It's going to be easy after dark.
No, Primer's harder. Primer's harder. Dark is dishing out information slowly. It's giving us the pieces to put together.
Yeah.
Primer's like if I can draw a proper diagram without looking up any tips after that movie, I should get a PhD. Right? I just should. In theoretical physics. I want a theoretical PhD in theoretical physics.
I will gladly give you a theoretical PhD.
So one of the things we were debating last episode, because I couldn't remember this, as if not, Tannhaus was Charlotte's grandfather. And what's funny, so the comments actually were nice enough to point out that he was indeed her grandfather, and that she'd mentioned it last season. Obviously, I missed that in my rewatch, so that's very helpful. Turns out it didn't even really matter, because this episode made it very clear.
Yep.
But I want to point out something stupid I said in that conversation, and you never fought me on it, and you should have.
Go on.
You said it's Charlotte's grandfather, and I said, no, Charlotte, in this episode, Peter said that Charlotte's parents died when she was young. Her grandfather is not her parents.
Yeah.
That was a stupid statement for me, which I clearly wasn't thinking about.
The worst part is when you said that, my assumption was, oh, so she wouldn't know her grandparents either, because,
No.
because her parents died, so she was like adopted, so, that was my assumption of what you were saying.
No. Turns out, no. She was living with her grandfather because her parents were dead. That was the gist of it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of that in this episode where she's staring at the photo. She goes with the new guy to question Regina. And this show, if you were doubting that it wasn't all kind of like laid out and planned to some extent for the whole thing, which I think for this type of show it has to be, because it's so interconnected and everything's like feeding on each other. So
when it's this intricate, you can't make it up as you go along.
But there was things that I wasn't even thinking about that they're answering, or not even answering is not the right word, but addressing from last season. That I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. And again, having just watched season 1 again, is that there was a scene where Regina goes into the hotel room where older Jonas was staying, the stranger Jonas, right? And she saw that all the drawings in the walls, and it really kind of freaked her out. And there was nothing else after that with that plotline last season. So I really like here, it's like, no, she's kept all those things because it was weird. And at the same time, the guy's like, well, why didn't you report this? Because at the end she's like, oh, he gave me a box to send to Jonas Canwald. And the first thought I said, well, yeah, he went missing. That's quite suspicious that you never mentioned this.
Yeah.
Days later, he was missing.
Yeah, that is suspicious.
Yeah, and he's asking questions. He's asking why the husband took her name, which we got. We got a comment. I was just telling this to Connor beforehand. One of our regulars, Rude Boy, is watching season 1 right now and commented on episode 7. Unless he's already watched some of season 2 and is poking at us and prodding at us for the fun of it. But he asked why he took her name. He clearly thought about this whilst watching season 1. And I think it's funny that in this episode, again, it's addressing things that maybe you didn't even think of to address yet.
Yeah.
So it's neat.
I think this new cop. I don't know what his actual title is, what his official job is. It's quite interesting because he seems to recognize Noah in the photo, doesn't he?
He recognizes someone in that photo, because it's kind of sticking out because Charlotte covers it up when he comes in.
There's only two of them sticking out, and one of them was Noah, I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe he does recognize Noah. We'll see. Like, because he's an outsider coming in, like they could still swerve us and say that his family came from this town, so maybe we will get like a younger him or something.
Yeah.
In the past, will get revealed. I hope I've learned his name by then, so I'll realize it's him.
Yeah, that would help.
That would very much help. But what's interesting here is Charlotte, like, when she sees these drawings, and I loved, actually, the small thing in the performance I really liked here is her hands were shaking and she was holding it, like it was really freaking her out. And I think what I love is that Charlotte in season 1, and I said this last episode of how that we're kind of blowing the doors open and more characters are becoming aware of what's going on to some extent, that Charlotte in season 1 was such the, Ulrich was starting to discover things and he was seeming kind of crazy to everyone else as he was looking through stuff and like suggesting, that this is related to his brother going, missing in 1986 and so on. Charlotte was the straight cop who was thinking things logically, and it wasn't until the very end of the season where there was some, shred of proof that, there's some sort of time travel thing going on. It was, it was Ulrich's photo. And seeing her transition from the end of last season to this season and seeing her like almost have a breakdown looking at these drawings and photos and recognizing them from her grandfather's book and calling Peter immediately. And there's not much more to this plot in this episode. They just, they meet each other at her grandfather's shop. They still own that.
Yeah, and we get a moment of them in the montage later.
Yeah, just kind of hugging and so I love that, like, what like some characters' plots have become and how different it is from season 1. Like how different, because I feel like Ulrich, and we'll get to some Ulrich stuff later, but Ulrich in season 1 was one of the, probably I'd say the main characters where we were following a lot of his investigation in season 1, and I feel like he naturally has to take more of a back seat this season just because of where he ended up.
Absolutely. It's still a very interesting place to go with where he is. And
sure.
Kind of go from there, but
in contrast, Katharina, who I would say was more of a minor character last season, like is looking into things now. Even Hannah, to an extent as well. Like they're more directly engaged in what's going on.
Hannah had a very minimal role, especially last season. She was there to provide a little bit of drama and context for Jonas, but that's about it.
Yeah, and I think we can jump onto Hannah and Stranger Jonas's plot then. Again, one of the more interesting things in this, I was almost mad actually that it kind of skipped over some of the interesting stuff that I might have wanted to see of her realizing she's even in the 80s. I kind of really wanted that moment, and I was a little annoyed we didn't get it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Don't get me wrong, the main thing is yes, like because as soon as he said I'm going to show you something that you're only going to believe it once you see it, I was like, okay, he's going to show who Mikkel was, and make it clear. And we do get it confirmed in this episode that the devices, the time machine devices, still work. They make that ball that we saw the big version of at the end of last season, and it takes whoever's in the radius into wherever they're going with the machine.
But we don't know if the tunnel itself works.
Well, given what Jonas said last episode, I don't think it does. I think that's what's not working, but the machine clearly still does. We see both Jonas use it, older Jonas with Hannah, but also I assume, I'm going to, how do I phrase this? Earlier in the cycle, older Claudia using it.
Yeah, that's assuming there is only the one device.
I think it is just the one device.
No, I'm inclined to think it is as well, but I wouldn't be completely surprised if later they swerved us and told us that there was a second one.
Well, I almost think you're like, in a way there's two, because we're dealing with time travel and they can be both at the same place at the same time, and because we can be looking at different parts of the loop at the same time. But I think in terms of how many were built, I think it's one. I think there's just been one that's been built.
No, I agree that it is probably just one, but also I can see that being an extra surprise. Is, oh no, we built more.
Sure. But at the same time, at least right now, we can easily explain this as... Because I think, at least again, it's weird to say... Because you get the idea that it's maybe been looping for a while, right? And everything's been resetting, like every time the loop completes. And the story of this show ultimately is, can we break that loop and get out of it? And I think for the sake of the loop we're in, presumably the last loop, Unless, I mean, don't get me wrong, I could totally see them doing something where we actually don't get out of the loop, but then in the next, we'll actually see some of the next loop at the end of the show, and that'll be when they finally do it.
Well, given that there's only 5 days left of this loop,
Mm-hmm.
I can see us getting to the end of that by this season.
Yeah,
and
then
season 3 being, okay, all right, we failed in that loop. What can we do?
but someone will
kind of remember.
Yeah, like some of the characters, because of the nature of the time travel, will know what failed, and
yeah,
which would be really interesting, because we'll get, because one of the sad things about Ulrich being in the 50s, and I'm sure we'll see that age Ulrich with the actor in the 50s section next episode, is that we lose a lot of that actor, because he's not going to be as prominent, like I said, like investigating things if he's stuck in a jail cell or yeah. But yeah, so this was really exciting. Older Jonas takes Hannah back and they go into the cave. He says it's still safer to do it in the cave where all this energy is. Like, it seems like you still go there to use the device, even if you're not using the tunnel.
Yeah, he said safer though, so it does work elsewhere. I wonder if it's just less precise.
Even older Claudia goes to the same location, because it's the same room. It's just all the barrels of toxic waste have been removed, well, radioactive waste, just to be more accurate. But so that's really interesting, and we do get to see her react. And they're just walking up to the house, and they see through the window. They see young Mikkel with Innes, and Hannah realizing that she's been with Ulrich's son, and it just kind of like dawning on her.
It's a great moment.
It's a really good moment. Really well done. And then there's a lot of stuff with Mikkel as well. Just seeing him kind of adapt to 80s life. He's just kind of miserable. He's avoiding school.
Yeah, he doesn't fit in. He doesn't not comfortable being there.
Yeah, he's got these 80s clothes that look really goofy, at least to us, and therefore also to him, because he's from our time period. Really, really simple little thing. Of course, the big thing is that he goes to the cave because he actually, when the time machine is being used, like, because he's close enough to the cave, it's like he can hear it, as if there's like
it's like a buzz almost.
Yeah, there's like a sound or a disturbance coming, and he thinks, oh, maybe I can go back now. And he runs to the cave, and he's actually intercepted by Noah. In fact, one of the scenes we forgot to talk about last episode, someone pointed out in the comments, is Noah talking to younger Noah in the 20s. Yes.
Very interesting. He's very intentionally guiding himself.
Yeah, it's almost like he's grooming himself to be himself, which is a weird thing to say, but...
Yeah, I mean, but is that so different to what Jonas is doing? As the stranger, kind of grooming himself? You get...
Sure.
Maybe not quite as directly and overtly, but it's kind of similar. Like, okay, I know where we're going to end up, so I'm just going to do that. I mean, even, Claudia as well doing the same.
I think older... I think maybe the big difference one is that Noah's goals are a lot more, insidious, but I think maybe the difference with Jonas specifically, maybe not Claudia as much, although I think Claudia and Jonas both fall into this category where they're making sure things happen the way they're supposed to happen, but they're clearly both trying to end it, or they're trying to end the loop themselves, so that ultimately things will change, because Jonas thought he was going to do that at the end of season 1, and it failed. Yes. So now he's kind of stuck. That's why we're in the predicament we're in. He didn't think he was going to send himself to the future. He thought he was going to break the cycle, and that was going to be everyone was normal now.
Yeah. He does. He actually feels a little bit aimless right now, doesn't he? Doesn't really know what to do next. That didn't work.
Yeah, I think that's the core thing. Is that up until now he's always had an idea of what's coming, because it's the time loop, and he's been traveling through time.
It's kind of been a kind of a memory.
Yeah, whereas now he's kind of on uncharted territory, where he's in this 5-day period now, and I think it's interesting that we did move 1 day in time from episode 1 to 2. It was 6 days till Apocalypse. Now it's 5 days, and notably it also says 5 days to the Apocalypse when it goes to the 80s. That's when it may be meaningless that it comes up in the 80s, but I am kind of getting the impression that this loop, whatever it is, it will actually reset all the timelines.
Yeah, we talked about this a lot last season, in the sense that the time was always running concurrently, even though they were 33 years apart. It was always still, when you jumped back, you couldn't jump back, a day earlier than what you were. It was exactly 33 years.
Yeah. So that's super interesting. So we have a bit of Mikkel. We have Noah basically warning them off getting into the mines, and I don't know if it's setting up that Noah's going to recruit, and we're going to find out that Michael throughout his life, because we don't know a whole lot about Michael. Like from after he arrives as Mikkel in the 80s till he hangs himself, We don't actually know a lot about that time span in between.
No, we don't. I always wonder if for some reason he needs Jonas to be alive for whatever his plans are.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe it's the idea that Jonas, in trying to prevent everything, is always going to cause it, and therefore they have to
Right.
have Jonas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So maybe he needs to make sure that happens.
yeah, it's interesting. So we have that. Where do I want to jump to next? Let's go to.
Just before we move on
Oh.
from Mikkel, I realize that because obviously Noah points to me, it's all God's plan, right? And that's kind of how he's trying to
Mm,
convince him, but it doesn't really work on him. He's not sold. It's not until he goes back to Inez and he's like, "Hey, do you believe in God?" And she's thinking about it. She looks like she wants to say no, but doesn't want to ruin it for him.
mm.
Um, so she kind of just goes along with it and kind of gives him the encouragement of yeah, God's plan, he's brought you to me and all that.
And then she
Um,
offers him some food that I have never heard of in my life.
yeah, or Hawaiian toast.
Yeah, Hawaiian toast. What the hell's Hawaiian toast? I don't know.
I don't know,
It,
but
is it like Hawaiian? Is it just ham and pineapple on toast?
maybe not as good as on pizza, clearly. But I don't know. It feels odd that Noah almost kind of failed. Like he didn't convince him, but Inez did.
Yeah. It's this weird thing where NSCs need to like convince him to stay and forget about his old family. Because at one point, Mikkel's like, "It's my mum's birthday today," and she's like, "No, we agreed the past is the past. You're with me now." And even though she means well, that almost by like kind of ensuring that he stays with her is kind of obviously it's the timeline as it's supposed to happen in the loop, but is kind of what made a lot of the problems in the loop to begin with is that he stayed back here.
It's ensuring that it's stuck this way. Yeah.
Which is arguably a good or a bad thing. Probably a bad thing, just given the rules of nature. But yeah, let's go to the 80s. Let's talk about Egon.
Sure.
Who sees Claudia? Because we never saw them together actually in that time period last season, so we got a little scene with them together.
Did we not?
No, we didn't. And we see the dog run at Gretchen, and he's like, "Oh, that looks like Gretchen. That's weird." And she's like, "Ah, yeah, shut up, Dad."
Yeah.
And we see Regina walk out, and one of the things that we saw right at the end of the season last year is that she was going to start combing her because she had this really like sort of wacky hair that she wasn't really keeping, and now she's combing it and she's putting on heels. She's trying to be all pretty for Alexander, or the artist currently known as Alexander, and they're romancing and whatnot. And the only key thing about their scene actually is really just like her disdain for her mother, and how shut off her mother is. And I think we really get a sense of like
he did not necessarily feel that way.
It's almost like he seems to be because he's like done some of this secret work for her, because that was one of the things that he did at the end of last season is she had him like do some of the cleaning up the and sealing the door and whatever. Maybe he sees it differently, but I think obviously this relationship's going to be more fractured as we go on, because Claudia is becoming more to do with the time travel stuff, and she's going to be kind of, because even old Claudia even says to her like, you've not got much time left with Regina, but if this all works, you'll get to live. Which, what does that mean exactly? Does she think that the time travel itself and that maybe the power plant has caused her cancer? Is that what she thinks, and that
maybe
by fixing the timeline, that won't be the case anymore? But Egon stuff's interesting because he says he's looking up at his thing, and actually I want to point out a little interesting thing here for the subtitles, for the English subtitles for this, is that there's a translation difference from season 1.
Okay.
His note in his diary, his police diary. In season, because here he reads it and it says, why not through the forest, or why through the other whatever, right? In season,
not through the forest was the point here.
In season 1, everything that was mentioned, and it was mentioned a lot because Ulrich found this entry and kept saying it,
Yeah, I recall the gist of it.
Yeah, but the line it was, and I think the line's the same in the book. I don't think it's changed in the writing. It's just as whoever's translated it has translated it slightly differently. Because in season 1, it was why not Forest Road, and I remembered it because they said it a lot, and I just watched it, so it really stuck out to me. I'm like, and again, I'm sure it's the exact same sentence in the book itself. It's just that the translation for the English-speaking folk has changed.
I mean, I didn't even notice the effect's the same.
Oh yeah, no, it means the same thing. It was just it was because why not Forest Road was just almost a clunkier phrase, so it really stuck out. So now it sounds more normal.
Yeah, the sentence looks longer than why not Forest Road anyway.
Yeah,
Looks like there's more words than that. Not that I
true.
speak German, obviously, but
No, nor do I beyond like 3 or 4 words. Well, I'll say though, the words that I do recognise, they do stick out to me in the sound. Every time someone says child, they say kinder. I hear it. Like, it sticks out because I recognise that word, whereas a lot of it just sounds like mumbo jumbo because I don't understand it. You know what I mean?
no, none of it sticks out to me.
The numbers sometimes stick out to me as well because I know the numbers, but that's about it.
I don't.
4 years of high school German, and I remember like 4 words and some numbers.
Hey, I did 4 years of French, 2 years of German, and a year of Spanish, and I cannot count to 10 in any of those languages.
Well, no wonder you took on 3 languages.
Not by choice.
They're all fighting each other in your head, so you can't remember any of it.
I mean, I never remembered any of them at the time anyway, even when I was only doing one at the start.
But yeah, he goes to see Helga, who's in hospital now because of everything that's happened to him. And he says some things. He actually references when he was attacked by Ulrich as a child. And Egon's like, wait, I remember that. That was when you were a kid. You know, like you came back and this is what you said. Like you said, like, Man with the Rock said this, and you mentioned this white devil.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. But then that leads to him looking into, because he's on the phone to someone. It's like, hey, 1953, we arrested this guy. What happened to him? And I'm like, oh, he's going to see Ulrich. He has been locked up all this time. He's actually in a hospital, rather than more of a. I mean, it's a security hospital, but it's rather than just a straight prison.
Oh yeah.
Presumably, they just thought he was crazy because I assume at some point he tried to tell them that he was from the future.
That he was from the future, and they went, "Yeah, this guy's cracked."
Yeah, do you know what I will say it though? Because they built up really nicely to him, like the camera got on like behind him, and I love the tease as well where the nurse at the front desk is like, "Oh, the inspector. We have a name for we have a name for him. We call him the inspector." Yeah. I love the build up to him and then the reveal of him. Because I actually questioned for a second if it was the same actor in makeup or if they just did such a good job of casting someone who looks like an older version of Mads Mikkelsen. That's just call it what it is.
Yeah,
but it is just casting. I don't think it's makeup. He looks like a real dude, but he is such a good likeness to the actor who plays.
It is, yeah, it's fantastic.
Who plays Ulrich. I wonder if they actually cast him when they cast the other guy. Like they look for them as a pair. But obviously, we're not going to use this to season 2. But we need you to look like him. That's why we cast you together.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe it's his dad. Maybe his dad's an actor.
Maybe. IMDb could tell you these answers.
If any of the cast were on the list for the episode, I might be able to check.
Well, I mean, you could just. I suppose this guy's a bit more awkward. Yeah.
Yeah. This guy might not be on the list yet. Get your shit together, IMDb. It's like, oh, this is a German show. We don't have information day one for foreign shows. I'll piss off.
Look, IMDb is user submitted. Most shows are perfectly fine. They're updated pretty quickly. What it's clear here is we need to blame the Germans for not pulling their weight and updating their own damn shows.
Okay, so you're saying all the people who are avidly updating IMDb are all in English-speaking territories. That's what you're saying.
It stands to reason, doesn't it? It's a predominantly English-speaking site.
Okay. I'll take that. So right, he goes to see Ulrich, and Ulrich says the line from the song again. It's a line in English that he said to him as a teenager when he came to talk to him about Mikkel, showing up at the police station, and then he said it to him again. He said it back to him when he first saw old Egon in the 80s or in the 50s when he got arrested, and he says it back to him here. And Egon recognizes him saying that, but he doesn't necessarily put together that teenager Ulrich had just said that to him a year ago. He's not quite pieced that together.
He's like, "Oh, you said that before."
Yeah. And he's like, what does it mean? And he's like, it means you've still not figured anything out, you idiot. Basically.
You moron. Was the word.
And then he points out that he knows when he's going to die. You don't got much time left. Which I actually love the idea of Egon being desperate to solve this case, knowing that because there's a phone call with a doctor at one point. He knows he's ill. He knows he has to go in for a serious appointment. But the idea that he knows for sure that he's going to I can almost see him like breaking Ulrich out when he eventually believes him.
I think he might because he specifically asked, does he get day release? Can I take him out for a walk?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
So he's already questioning these things of the gears are turning.
I love this so much. I love that. Hannah's been showing proof of the biggest reveal with her husband, right? Egon's starting to like see things that are going to put it together. Charlotte's like seeing proof of it and knows that this is a real thing. I love just how many characters now are discovering what's going on.
Most of our main cast by that point.
Yeah. Because one of the little subplots in the episode is Magnus and Francesca this episode, where he confronts her about the money coming from accusing her of being a prostitute, and it turns out she's actually selling her hormone medication.
Yeah.
Which stands to some reason, and it never actually clicked to me before last episode. But yeah, that's right. This is the prostitute his dad was seeing.
Yes.
So that's actually how the connection kind of came about, because that's what we did in this show. More connections.
I know.
More
so
connections. Many. Yeah, so many. And she gets rightfully kind of pissed at being accused of being a prostitute.
Yeah. Just funny, when this show started, all the connections, we kept likening it to Twin Peaks, right? I laughed with old Ulrich with the hair. Kind of looked a bit like Bob.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, it struck me when I saw it.
I mean, if you want to keep comparing to Twin Peaks, I can see a character like referencing Twin Peaks later and saying it is happening again. I can see that being a line that pops up.
Yeah,
you know, because obviously the other big plot we've not talked about is older Claudia showing up at the plant in 1987 to talk to at that time present day Claudia, middle-aged Claudia. And being like, oh, this is my dog, and Claudia's like, oh, this is your dog. Oh, so, I tried to find if it was an owner, but no one responded, and she recognized me.
She looked like a dog I used to have.
Yeah, she's like, it's because it is my dog, like it is your dog. And then she like starts predicting things out the window, and I love that when she's predicting, the guy at the desk being a bit pervy and making the other employee bend over. I'm loving that she remembers this so well. Because for middle-aged Claudia, this is her having her mind blown watching this. That's why she didn't forget these details. It's perfect.
It is, yeah.
It makes so much... Because there's such small details that, why would you remember this? But no, she'll remember this moment because of the context.
Yeah. When that's the context of it, like I say, when it's, holy shit, there's something going on here, you're going to remember that.
Yeah, so well done. So well thought out. And then we see like the time travel device used again when she gives her like this map, and it turns out it's like two, and I love how this was shot, intercutting between old Claudia digging up the dirt with middle-aged Claudia digging it up. Obviously older Claudia is burying the time machine, middle-aged Claudia is digging it up. But I love the reveal at the end of the intercutting between them, where you see that old Claudia is there before the house is even built, so she's like in the 50s.
Yeah.
It's just a sign saying, hey, it's very Back to the Future, actually. If you remember when Marty goes to try and find his house, and there's just like a big billboard saying, hey, we're building this housing estate here. Homes for the future kind of thing. And then actually, just if I compare it to movies, the bubble that's made, I'm sure I said this last season, but it's very Terminator. It makes me think, when they arrive in Terminator?
Yeah.
It's the bubble, and then it's like, obviously this one doesn't cut into anything that's in the bubble, but...
yeah, I don't recall you saying it, but...
It sounds like something I may have said.
It does, yeah.
It does.
And, it was a year and a half ago. I'm not going to remember every stupid comment you make.
Anyone who's rewatching the season 1 reviews around now, let us know if I said that last season, but I'm definitely saying it now. Especially since there's that now smaller version that's happening just for a couple of people. It feels a lot more Terminator-esque.
Yeah, it feels more like... Because last it was just the big one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I love how I said the one plot I've not talked about is the Claudia thing, and then
we haven't talked about all of the future stuff yet.
I was saving that for last. I wasn't forgetting that. I was just saving it.
Yeah, sure.
Really, you thought I forgot the future stuff?
I genuinely did think you might have done.
Come on, the huge cliffhanger once again comes from the future.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm shocked.
Jonas is, he snuck in, he's seen this mass. I guess we can call it the God particle. That's what that report on the audio tape called it. Well, no, that's just what they've named it, or if this is accurate is maybe another question. But basically, it's uncontrollable. But if they supply it with power, it'll become stable, and it'll turn into the sphere that we've been seeing, essentially.
I love the effect of it unstable, though.
Oh, it looks good.
With the pulsating and the writhing. Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah, the show has a lot more visual effects to do this season, and I have to say it's mostly really doing a good job with them.
Yeah, they're holding up.
Yeah, I think there's like maybe one exterior shot of the plant in the future that looked a little bit CG to me, because obviously they don't have like a a futurized
Sure, yeah.
futurized derelict plant like they do in,
Everything with this energy looks amazing.
Yeah. So he's dodging the graphite, of course, as he's walking around
Of
the
course,
plant. Break out the dosimeters. Does it go higher than 3.6? It probably does.
I think they're a bit beyond dosimeters.
Okay, what I want to know is how do we reveal at the end of this show that it's all Dyatlov's fault? That's what I want to know.
That's who Adam is.
That's who is Dyatlov. Oh, I so hope the cliffhanger at the end of the season is we get the time sphere forms right, and then out walking is Jared Harrison and and what's his face, Skarsgård.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're comrades and we're here to save the world. I need it in my life.
Great.
Anyway, so he actually gets it stable. He's listening to the tape explaining some of it, and he gets it stable by pumping up the generator, and it's stable for like a second. He's about to go toward it, and then it starts, the power runs out, and it's like all unstable again. And he's like, shit, or shiza, to say it in the correct language. And he's like, so the plot in the episode for him is trying to get some gas for the generator so that he can get it up and running again for long enough that he can go. And he distracts one of the patrolling like guards in like this big tank thing that's going around, this big militarized truck, and he gets some music playing on an old portable CD player and one speaker. And he sneaks up behind the truck and starts to siphon some gas out of it. It's a decent little, it's very tense, decent little scene. Guy with a gun who's kind of guarding the truck kind of hears him at one point, and he kind of pulls a little, Scooby-Doo exit, and he's hiding around the wall already.
Yeah,
that's what it is. But as he sneaks back into the dead zone, he gets caught, and Heather's all, let's hang the bastard. But and this is interesting. No one saves him from this. Heather just decides not to let him go through with it. He's hanging. That's how he gets the mark in his neck. But she chooses to. She shoots him in the leg first. By the way, let's point out he's got a wounded leg.
Yeah.
But she shoots the rope and saves him.
She's a pretty good shot, isn't she?
She is. Well, to be fair, it's a sniper rifle.
It's still have to be a good shot.
It's a scope. She's got a scope, and it's not that far. I'm not saying she strikes me as someone who's been using that gun for a while.
Sure. I'm just saying it's a relatively small target. A rope to get a neat shot through it.
Sure.
It's swinging.
It's swinging. It's a swinging 60s. Well, not been in the 60s yet. Maybe that's season 3. Maybe if they start a new loop, maybe it'll be 60s for this. We'll get to 1960 in the 50s time period. They'll get to the 60s.
See, I think if we start a new loop,
we'll
go back again.
I do as well. I'm just joking and saying that if we want to get to 60s, 90s, and 2020s,
I can see season 3 starting in 2019 again.
As can I. Oh, people pointed out, by the way, that the release date is actually very more specific than you thought it was. It was when Mikkel committed suicide in season 1.
Yeah, I knew it was something.
Yeah, but it's exactly that date. It was that date, 2019.
Yeah.
Because season 1's mostly set in November, but I always forget that suicide at the start actually takes place, months before that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this actually piques the interest of the other girl, right? Who lets him out the cage, and she demands who are you really? Because why did she save you? Because she's not saved anyone else. Heather's killed everyone who's broken this rule, and it's maybe because she knows that he has to do stuff for the time loop to keep happening. I think it's not going to be lost on everyone here that we should mention that Heather again is Charlotte's daughter, and that she might actually know more about things because she looks into her grandfather's book, or because she gets more information.
Stuff,
yeah,
maybe
she may be more aware of things because of that relationship than other people would be. So that makes sense. And it's interesting because Jonas also confirms that he's been listening to tapes left by Claudia. And that's why he thinks he can get back, and why he thinks that this has to happen, and why he knows that in 5 days his time is, because he seems to understand that it's in 5 days even for him. It's not like I just have to go back.
Yeah, he seems to be aware of the parallel nature of the time travel.
So, and I assume that comes again from Claudia's tapes, but
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, show me what's in the dark zone. She wants to go in, and she goes in with him, and they fire it up, and she's all in awe, and the thing stabilizes, and we end the episode with Jonas going into the bubble, and then it goes unstable again. It's up for a minute, it goes unstable again, and Jonas has been inside it. Where did he go? Or more specifically, when did he go?
It seems to be reacting a lot more afterwards as well. Like it seems to be thrashing around a bit more than the kind of the pulsating than it was before.
Yeah, even the visual effect of it going around his arm when he put his hand in looked quite good. I like that.
Yeah.
And she's left sort of just standing there dumbfounded, and I wonder if we still get some future stuff with her going back to Heather and like talking about what's happening. Maybe not a lot, but maybe a little bit of plot here.
Bit, yeah, I can see it.
So where do you think Jonas has went, or when, to say it accurately?
Certainly not 2020.
Certainly not, yeah.
No. Wildcard has it on
20s?
On the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's too early for that.
Could be the 50s?
Maybe the 50s. He hasn't been there yet. Yeah.
What I'm waiting for actually is a character who is now trapped in one of the time periods to see a character from the future again. So I'm thinking like,
and understand there is a way back.
Yeah, like what if Jonas goes back to the 50s and he goes to see Ulrich?
Yeah.
Or something, so a meeting like that, or or what if older Jonas takes Hannah back then to the 50s to meet Ulrich and kind of like give him the lowdown and what's going on, or so, like I'm waiting for a meeting like that because I'm really excited with the prospect of them being excited to see someone from the future and understand that. Okay, we understand this better now.
I'm with you. I think with Ulrich specifically, I don't think they can meet him earlier than the 80s because this man is still a bit cracked, right? Here
Sure.
in the 80s, I don't think he's had hope of getting back at any point. I think he's resigned to where he is.
I can see that. I think honestly, talking through this episode, I think we've probably guessed correctly that at least in some capacity that there's going to be some kind of reset at the end of the season and there'll be a new loop of some sort. Because I think, given where a character like Ulrich's ended up, and I'm sure we'll see some of him in the 50s, I think to get more interesting story out of him, eventually we're going to have to reset things.
I think so, yeah.
In some capacity. And that's not a critique of the show, it's just because it's like shoehorning these characters into certain situations, I'm kind of expecting though we have to kind of reset the loop at some point.
Yeah, because 2 seasons for 5 days, give or take, is quite a lot of time for that.
Yeah. Well, the other option, of course, is that they do kind of break the loop and the season, it doesn't end in 5 days. That we actually get more beyond that.
Yeah, that is also possible. Yeah.
But I do kind of expect that we'll reset the loop or we'll create a new loop that's different. And we'll do something with that. But I do kind of expect to do I want to call it a Lost-esque thing where we kind of see characters back in the places they were back in season 1. I can kind of see that happening.
Be interesting.
Yeah. Or did Jonas just go further into the future? That's also a possibility.
It is a possibility. Not what I'm expecting.
Or is this where we find out he's his own grandfather?
Wouldn't put it past him.
He's been thinking about Martha a lot. I mean, it may actually be kind of a dark laugh if he goes back in time, falls in love, and then doesn't know that it's his own grandmother or whatever until later. He's like, damn it, every woman I fall in love with.
Yeah, that would be quite amusing.
Every one of them, they all turn out to be this or that. I'm still kind of half expecting this woman in the future that helps him to turn out to be someone. I'm just not sure who, because she's a little bit younger than Heather. Yeah. So, but I'm wondering if she's someone's daughter. Like we find out that that's
more likely.
Yeah, someone's daughter, or I'm trying to think because no one had a baby, right? No one had a baby.
I don't recall
present day. I don't think they did. Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, I'm kind of expecting it though, because she's got a scar on her face, which is kind of blatant. So I'm expecting we'll kind of discover who she is connected to someone else via the scar at some point. Maybe
we'll see the scar happening and be like, oh shit.
Yeah, and actually, I'm expecting one-eyed cop. I'm expecting to find out what happened to his eye at some point, because I wouldn't necessarily say that, except for the fact that in season 1 he was wearing a bandage over it as if it was fresh, which really to me makes me think that it's going to be somewhat relevant at some point. What happened to his eye?
Maybe
it's
could
such
be
a
just it's 6 months later. It's no longer fresh. We just
yeah, but I'm saying it's a specific decision to not like to have it fresh in the first place. Why not just have him have an eye patch in season 1?
Sure, yeah.
Like it's such a specific choice to have it be like a fresh wound.
Okay, I'm with you now.
That I expect it to be, even if it's a joke thing, like because he's not a huge character, so it may not be that big deal. But
yeah,
excited all the same. I think that's everything.
We say this every episode, don't we? I remember all season 1. I think that's every day. Without fail, there was always something small we missed.
Yeah. Last episode it was the
Noah
on Noah scene. That sounds kind of kinky saying it like that, but you know what I mean. But no. And it's worth mentioning as well that older Claudia says you have to defeat Adam is really setting up the idea that he is the villain, that he is the. And do you know what I was thinking about during this episode? And I enjoyed Timeless for what it was, but this is definitely a much better version of the Timeless plot.
It is, yeah.
Where essentially Adam's kind of Rittenhouse, but it's like even just saying Rittenhouse fills me with I enjoyed that show a lot, but Rittenhouse themselves was kind of like kind of bland.
It's always a letdown. Adam is already more exciting.
Yeah, and Noah is as well.
Because sure, but Adam just because we don't know who he is, but we know he's someone.
Yeah. Is it just really old Jonas?
Could be.
Because
maybe that's why Noah wanted to make sure he was alive.
Yeah, I mean that
was born more specifically.
Because the thing about Adam as well is that he's so like disfigured with makeup. Obviously not makeup in the show's context, but to us, is that he could be anyone really, or at least any of the men.
It looked like burns, right? Was the kind of what if maybe he got too near some graphite? Maybe it's some radiation burns.
He'd be long dead if it was radiation.
No, I know. But hey, I'm just saying.
I'll take the joke.
yeah.
I'll take the joke. Yeah,
it could be Jonas for all we know at this point.
It was hard not to joke about Chernobyl, especially in this one, because, like you were saying, when you got that exterior of the plant in the future, it was very Chernobyl-y in a lot of ways. Only 2 reactors on this one, though, for the record. Unlike Chernobyl, we had the 4 because it was reactor number 4, of course, that blew.
Of course, yeah.
I'm still getting sick of the memes. I have to say that much.
I love the idea that when it comes season 3 and people are jumping onto this and seeing these reviews for the first time, because people are still doing that with season 1 right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
This Chernobyl joking will date it so badly for anyone.
It's worth mentioning, episode 1 of episode 1 of our Dark reviews of season 1 is like our 3rd highest most watched video on the channel entirely right now. It might pass 1 and 2 over the course of this season. Now there's obviously a renewed interest, but I just thought I'd mention that because although 40% of the activities dislikes, and I do wonder exactly what it was about our discussion.
I don't recall what we said on that first episode.
Either they just don't really like us, or it's people who just for some reason look for full episodes of things on YouTube and are like disappointed when it's not the episode.
We get a lot of those, don't we?
We do. How many people think Netflix put full episodes on YouTube, or other people pirate them and put them on YouTube? They're not going to last for long.
There are so many easier ways to pirate.
But there is, but
like just not YouTube though. Like
Netflix. Netflix is not an expensive thing to have. You could go get Netflix. It's really quite easy.
Yeah, it really is.
It's easier. This is the beauty of streaming. It's easier than pirating.
That's why it took off, because people went, yeah, screw it. I'll give you $8 so I don't have to go and pirate shit.
It's less effort. Just go watch on Netflix.
We will pay to be lazy.
Yes, human beings. That is in a nutshell. We will pay to be lazy.
Exactly.
Oh dear. Anyway, go watch the show on Netflix, people. All right, that is episode 2 of Dark season 2. I think our average length per episode is actually topping season 1 after 2 episodes, because now we have an average of about 40 odd minutes. So let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, you can do that over at patreon.com/mailfuzztv, where you can support us for as little as $1 per month and keep the reviews coming. Don't just pirate our content. Not that you can, it's YouTube. It's free. But But, similar idea. If you want the shows to keep coming, go to Patreon. Or at least let the ads play on YouTube. Don't use ad block. Be nice. But that is... Yeah, waitlisters or waitlist YouTube. But that is us. So thank you very much once again. You can check out other shows we do, other stuff we review, stuff like Too Old to Die Young from Amazon Prime we're doing right now, stuff like The Handmaid's Tale, stuff like Big Little Lies, stuff like classic shows like Star Trek and Firefly and the original Twilight Zone. All these things are being reviewed on the channel over the course of just now, basically. So, and you can time travel with YouTube. You can go back and see us react to season 1 and make completely different jokes because our headspace was in a completely different place in 2017.
And see how wrong we were at points, because I'm sure we were wrong quite a bit.
I'm sure we were. But sometimes we get some things right and we get quite excited by that. Hell, sometimes when we reviewed the OA season 2,
we stumbled onto something as a joke. Yeah,
we predicted the ending of season 2 and then forgot we predicted it, and we were shocked in the finale that it happened. And then someone in the comments was like, "Well, you said this in episode 3." And I'm like, "We're geniuses! We're geniuses! Damn it!"
Yeah, you see, that's the trick. Predict everything. Something's bound to be right.
All right, that's us. Thank you once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla? I'm going to learn how to say "Have you got any vanilla" in German for like the finale, just for the joke. I'm going to type it into Google Translate. Which, by the way, Charlotte used Google Translate in this episode, so
it really threw me off seeing Google Translate
and not
then
in English,
being in German.
Yeah,
I was like, wait, translate properly.